Hi, I'm Rowan Stanfield from Eastbourne Gilbert and Sullivan Society. I'm just about to go on a Zoom with the author of Here's a Howdy Do, the Sullivan and Gilbert Story, which we're currently producing as an online radio play. We've done several productions during the last year when we've not been able to be on stage together, and we're really excited to be doing this biographical play about the lives and careers of Sullivan and Gilbert. So I'm just about to let in some of our members to meet Tim and see what he's got to say about the play. Hello.
Hi.
I'm going to start letting them in now, if that's all right.
That's great. Yep.
Well, thanks, Tim, for joining us tonight. We're all really happy to meet you. We've really been enjoying doing the play. Most of the members here have done quite a lot of Gilbert and Sullivan. We've got a couple who are newer to the society, so it's probably been quite interesting for them as a learning curve about Gilbert and Sullivan themselves, I imagine. So I'll get the ball rolling. Firstly, Tim, if you could just kind of introduce yourself, give us a bit of background about you and the story of how you came to write this play.
Basically, I'm a writer, mainly books until now. I've always wanted to do more theatre and film, and I've actually done 2 or 3 film or play scripts in the last few years. I actually wrote this some time ago in another version that we put on at the Edinburgh Festival. I've always wanted to go back to it because 2 things about it. One was that when I originally wrote it, I made what, with hindsight, was a crazy idea of not using Sullivan's music. I had a friend who was a composer who wrote his own tunes for the lyrics, which, when I think about it, was completely mad because half the point is having the Sullivan's music. But there you go, you do these things. And the other thing was, one of my friends saw it and said they liked it, but they said I obviously couldn't write for women. And that was quite a sore point. So that was one of the things I didn't really, well, I don't know if I succeeded, but what I tried to do was to make sure that the women's weren't just cut out figures, they weren't just ciphers.
And what originally made you want to write about Sullivan and Gilbert particularly? Are you a fan of the operas?
I was going to say I was brought up on them, wasn't quite that. We had almost the whole set in the old Ace of Clubs records, and so I got to know them very well. I mean, I've always been intrigued with this conflict between them, that again I hope comes out, that they both basically wanted to do their own thing, Mr. Words and Mr. Music, and never really came to terms with the fact that it all worked much better when they worked together.
How did you choose which stories and characters to include?
I mean, I didn't want it just to be a sort of story of the development of the operas. I wanted it to be, I wanted it basically to be a story about the way the 3 principals interacted, and as I said, the way they interacted with their personal lives as well. Then I found songs that would work for the main characters to sing them. The most obvious one is the Wandering Minstrel for Sullivan, because it absolutely fits him.
Did you choose songs that were favourites of yours, or did you have to delve in and revisit some of the material to come up with them?
Some of them were absolutely obvious and popular ones, and some of the others, because I wanted to look at particular facets of their personality, I had to sort of search around and find things that worked.
How do you put yourself in the minds of those Victorian people? Did they sort of come to life easily in your imagination?
I tried to read myself into it. A couple of quite rare books. I based the material about Rachel Scott Russell on, there's a book just about the letters that she wrote and the conflict with her sister. I mean, I'm a historian by background, so I've written history as well as play scripts. So yeah, I tried to get into that period.
I'm Pam, and I was cast in the role of Mrs. Sullivan and Gilbert Servant. Would Gilbert Servant, could that have either been a male servant or a female servant?
Absolutely either, yeah.
I was cast as a reviewer. I enjoy Gilbert's wit. I came to appreciate the music a little later.
Hi, I'm Sue Davis. I'm playing the part of Mrs. Russell, the sort of horrified mother.
Yeah. Something you can get your teeth into.
Whose senses are upset. You mentioned that you write historical pieces, and I wondered if you had a particular era of history that interests you the most.
Not really. I mean, I've written on various periods. I mean, my most recent book was a book about Christian people who helped people during the Holocaust.
So you're quite prolific then.
I am actually. Yeah, no, I've written quite a lot.
I'm Trevor.
I've
been involved with G&S for over 40 years. I'm wondering about one or two characters. I mean, Miss Kenyon, I can't find any reference whatsoever to her.
No, she's the only one I had to sort of fabricate because I needed to. It's not intended to be a docudrama. I'm more interested in their lives and the way they interact.
You know, you don't always know 100% about these characters, only what's been written. So, you know, half the fun is imagining a certain element of it, of what might have been, I think.
My name's Margot, and I was cast as Miss Shaw, the pianist. Are you going to create another play that we can use as a radio play? Maybe a sequel, something like that.
I would like to see a sequel to one of the operettas.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's a nice
One of
idea.
those stories. That's my challenge for you.
And one of the other plays I've worked on, I don't think it would work as a radio play because it's quite visual. It's another Victorian subject about an extraordinary relationship. A Victorian lawyer called Arthur Munby, who was fascinated by labouring women, you know, sort of maidservants and things, and he actually had a secret marriage with a maid of all work. And we know about it because both of them kept journals and notebooks.
My name's Stuart, and I play Gilbert. The interesting thing about that I found was at the beginning of the play, of course, I'm young, and at the end of the play, I'm actually about the same age as I am now.
Who are you playing, Rowan?
I play Mrs. Fanny Ronalds.
Oh, great, yes.
Yeah. I didn't attempt a Bostonian accent because I thought that's just too hard. So I've kind of gone for what I thought would be the sort of posh transatlantic American accent of the time. Shall we hear from our lovely director now?
Hi, I'm Wendy, and I've tried to think it through as how it would sound on radio, because I've directed a lot for the stage, but this is the first thing I've directed for radio.
Have you written any other plays for radio, or have you had any that have been done, rehearsed in a virtual scenario like this?
No, I haven't. No, I'm really looking forward to listening to hearing it.
How have you found the lockdown and the last year affecting your writing?
I mean, I've written more than ever, so I mean, I suppose it's good. I mean, I hate the lockdown like everybody else. I think it's that thing, isn't it, that when you've got limited possibilities, you somehow push the boundaries a bit more.
And it forces you to either do or die. You know, you either do it or you're not involved at all, because you have to change the way you operate, the way you do things.
Have you ever performed, Tim, or are you strictly a writer?
No, I have. I haven't done any acting for quite a time.
Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Bye.
Bye all.
Here's a Howdy Do will be live on our YouTube channel very soon. You can search for Eastbourne Gilbert and Sullivan Society and subscribe to our channel to be notified when it's live.